Yalipikatu. Great peace. This here is Dr. Alensky. I think she's the former CDC Center of Disease and Control Director for the United States before the House Committee. And she's talking about getting well, just let me back up a second. The person who was just speaking before her was a speaker on the committee, and he was voicing his understanding of how people shouldn't necessarily go so far as to put blame and sway a certain understanding or opinion on the makeup of governance around the world, specifically the European unions, and how they conduct their day-to-day affairs amid certain xenophobias and suspicions. And him I partly agree with, and the overall sentiment I don't, because as I'm listening to her and I'm listening to him, I'm paying close attention to body language. I'm not so much cued in on what they're saying. I'm paying attention to body language. So when he speaks, I'm looking at him and I can see like he's been hit with a food allergy, because you can see like the Brelin markings on his face, and you can also see like her. She's been pre-queued to a advantage where she has the luxury of having great hygiene. She has the luxury of having and when I say hygiene, I'm just talking about her clothing and the rest she was able to gather before she came into this committee. Because I see like a lot of black people, they don't know about the CDC. And see, the thing is, it's like we're hit with the slot of where we have to, attend this meeting, or we have to be here at this time, and we have to do this on their revision. And if we don't do it their way, we end up losing out on certain fortune. I'm just saying that because that's how it was for me when I was in my younger 20s and I was trying to scattle about and find a way to make a living. And this is before I even found out about, how stocks were interchanged. This was before I found out about books. This was before I found out about, about certain mental liberties. This was before I found out about other communities and how they went about their day-to-day activities. All right. So, if you're coming from a situation where you've been put before in great impoverishment, as far as your mind, as far as your body, this leaves a stake in your future as far as your preparement. And so, like, as I'm looking at her and I'm looking at the people around her and I'm looking at the people behind him, you can pretty much see that everybody here has a different biogeology. All right, so that's just a word I'm going to throw out there. You can see that people have a different um, comfortability about who they are and about what they're doing within the moment leading into the next moment. So I'm just listening to her and I'm just gathering that um, through body language because I'm not understanding what she's saying in her words, and I'm not understanding what he's saying in his words. All right, so that's just miles and miles and times of times being separated and not understanding different tongues and linguistical formats, and how time have basically graduated with the essence. All right, so I'm not understanding her language. I'm not understanding his language. All right, diversity. All right, so we need diversity and we need inclusion. And so I'm just listening, and the body language is telling. That's what sways me. And the thing is that when you look at the CDC, they don't necessarily tell you that the foods that are trafficked, um, not even necessarily off a farm, all right, because there are no laboratories on farms. All right, I always think like, how is this food getting packaged this fast and put back on the shelves, and why is it that it's always outdated a year within a year, which means depending on if the food is in the front or if the food is in the back, how fresh is it? Because they usually say if you were a grocery stocker, you always put the freshest food behind the food that is not the freshest. So she doesn't indicate that, well, the foods that the average American eats, like pizza, like burgers, um, she doesn't say like shrimps, catfish, and stuff like that. The typical foods you see. She doesn't say that any of this is chemical waste. And a lot of this is banter. Like, I try to like skim through it and see like where I'm gonna get the aha moment, and I never get it because it's like they've been so well trained to deceive. And you just have to pay attention to like the beginning, because again, like the beginning is where you'll hear the keywords, where you can kind of synopsis where, okay, this is going to be about this, and you head off from there. So I'm just looking at it like, all right. So I'm looking at his biochemistry. I'm looking at her biochemistry, hers. She looks more stressed than everybody else. All right. She's looking like, hey, I don't want to be here, so forth. He looks like she owes me something, maybe. I don't know. All right, so you can see right here, Deer Park, they always put the surveillance right in front of your face to see if you'll take it. All right, so there's a hint right there, Deer Park. And again, and I'm just looking at this, it says Wale, and then right here it says Sky. So that's a little Algonquin. But I'm just looking at this, French, I mean, but I'm just looking at this and I'm just thinking, like, what are we doing? What is America doing? Why is America letting this bypass them? All right, so if we're going to go with the normal clockage of the day, right? There's 24 hours in a day. There's 48 hours in a day if you're on a military base. All right, so if they have bags under their eyes, you can pretty much see these are corporals, these are first sergeants, all right, and even further in rank. If we're going to talk about brigadier, these are like general personnel, because they have bags under their eyes. So they're people who work around the clock. They don't get much sleep. All right, so they know more than they're letting off. So it's not up to me to say, well, they know this, they know that. That's up to you all to figure out, all right? Because we all have our own experiences. All right, so just put one and two together, look at the video, ask yourself, why isn't the CDC more involved in trading for the Moen, the black people? All right. The Noir, the NWA, the Negro with attitude. All right, so Noir just means black for all the Haitians out there. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and get off, but just look at the video, man. It's ridiculous, like how people just get away with things. All right, and they see humanity is dying off. It's like you have a part in it, either for good or for bad. Hashino Mais, Shalom Hadus. Great peace.